Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Kurt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at kurtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
This is the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Mercadante. It is Thursday, June 7th, which means it's time for our Thursday interview segment. Every Thursday, I interview a business leader or some other all-around interesting person. Every Monday is the Monday Motivator segment, in which I bring you a short burst of motivation to help you kick your week off on the right foot. And for today's Thursday interview segment, we're going to do something a little different. You see, whether it's some of my clients or the people I converse with in social media on LinkedIn every single day, there are so many people out there who want to make the jump away from the 9 to 5 into starting their own business, into being an entrepreneur. And sure, there are several fears that can hold a person back from making that leap. But one of the most common fears that I hear is a fear of sales. So in today's Thursday interview segment, I asked 3 sales experts, what's that one tip that you would give someone who tells you that they have a fear of sales? And so today we are going to hear from 3 sales experts. First is Jordan Carroll. He's the founder and chief negotiator of Negotiable Reality. He comes to us from Cape Town, South Africa, where he is currently stationed as part of his remote year program. He's been touring around Europe. Now he's in South Africa. We're going to hear from Jordan. Then we're going to hear from the wonderful Mike Casavant. He comes to us from Milwaukee, where he works with outside sales with the incredible Margle Media agency. And then we're going to hear from Roger Wilkerson. He comes to us from Thailand. You actually met Roger on my podcast last week. He is founder of Ygetarts, that's strategy backwards, business consulting firm. You're going to hear from Jordan, Mike, and Roger on that one tip that they would give someone who says they have a fear of sales. And first up, here's Jordan Carroll.
What's up, everyone? Jordan Carroll here for the Kurt Mercadante podcast. Very excited to talk today about fear in sales. Now, if you don't think that you should learn about sales in the modern day, you're wrong. And in fact, all of us, even unknowingly, sell ourselves in every single conversation that we have. So, even if you're not in a sales career, it's very important to understand the principles of sales. When it comes to fear, it's natural. Fear in sales goes together like peanut butter and jelly or spaghetti and meatballs. Fear is a sign of growth. Fear is a sign of challenge. Embrace it. Understand that you're going to feel fear when you're selling things to people, whether it's goods or services or yourself. That fear is really what drives you to become better. So 1, embrace it, become aware of it. 2, understand what the root is of the fear. Often fear takes place when we don't think that we're good enough. Now, why is it that you don't think that you're good enough? Is it that you don't think the product that you're selling is good enough? Is it that you don't think you're a good enough salesperson? Really get to the root of where that fear is coming from. And now 2 quick ways to really overcome. So if you feel like you're not prepared enough or you're not a good enough salesperson, practice. Do role plays with a partner, whether it's your manager, whether it's a team member. Have someone hold you accountable and give you good constructive feedback. The more repetitions you have, the more comfortable you're going to feel in a sales situation. Number 2, oftentimes we feel like as a salesperson, we're trying to convince a customer to do something, and we're on the opposite side of the table. What I want you to imagine in your head is that that customer is actually on the same side of the table. So metaphorically move yourself to that same side of the table and even say it in your sales conversations. Can I move to the same side of the table as you? Develop an extreme sense of empathy and understand that if the customer is not going to buy it, ask yourself, like, would you buy it from you? And figure out where the value proposition is for that person and really how you're able to deliver more value than what they're paying. So that is my thoughts on fear in sales. Hope you all have a great day. Welcome to South Africa.
And now we are going to hear from Mike Casavant.
A lot of people that reach out to me that are intimidated by selling and they're in business for themselves, it's a bit nerve-wracking, especially when you get to a point where you're the judge, the jury, the audience, right? Everything stops and ends with you. So, as someone that has been in sales and been selling since I was a kid and learned from some of the best, I think one of my number one strategies or tips I would say for anyone scared of selling is to think of it, number one, that you're not selling anything. Think of it as having a conversation with a friend. I like to use the bar stool as a reference. If you're at a bar and you're sitting down with a buddy and you're just having a conversation about things that you're into or things that you have in common, or the game last night, whatever the fuck you want to talk about, I don't really care. It's just, that's how casual you need to approach it, right? And I think people get way too romantic and way too they overcomplicate the selling process. It's like you need to come up with the perfect pitch and lead them to this, that, what have you. But really, guys, it's not about that. It's truly about finding the commonality between you and the end user for them to establish a groundwork that you are the solution for what they're seeking, whether it's a product or service. And the way to do that is to gain their trust by asking a lot of wonderful questions that you need to position yourself with, that will position you as the expert for what they're looking for. So if you're scared of selling, right, don't sell. Just ask questions. So again, you're at a bar, you meet a girl or a guy or whatever the hell your preference is these days, and all you're doing is asking questions. The person that always will win, the person that wins always, is the person that asks the most questions and talks the least. Don't get nervous. It's just having a conversation, guys. That's it. As you ask the appropriate questions that align you yourself with the right foundation, to then shift the conversation and go, it's interesting what we're talking about right now, because the things that you're struggling with the most right now are that's actually what I help people with, and this is how. And just tell them what you do. That's it. And honestly, guys, it's one of those things where it sounds too easy, but really at the end of the day, it pretty much is. Always go back to the bar stool. Always focus on the questions that you need to be asking that position you and align you appropriately to then, lead them to the decision that without you having to say, hey, would you like to buy my product or service? It's them going, dude, this sounds amazing, or wow, this sounds incredible. I'd love to work with you. How do we go about this? What does it cost? And then you're in a great position, because now you're not selling, you're just telling. That's it. Having a conversation. So that's probably my number one tip I've learned in the last, 20 years, 15 years of doing sales. Relationships are key, but that starts with the appropriate questions to ask, always. So that's what I got, guys. Peace.
And last but not least, we are going to hear that sales tip to a person who has a fear of sales. We're going to hear it now from the wonderful Roger Wilkerson.
So here's my sales tip for people that have a business and have a fear of selling or sales. And this is actually quite common, quite normal. Most business people are not necessarily salespeople. And the inverse is true. Most salespeople are not necessarily business people, because they're really two different types of skill sets. So first of all, you have to understand that. If you own a business and you're afraid of doing sales, it may just be simply because it's out of your comfort zone. So how do you get from out of your comfort zone to into your comfort zone? So this is a trick I teach everybody about replacing a fear, right? So a fear is just something that blocks you from taking an action, right? So if you have a fear of sales, that is going to block you from doing whatever you need to do sales. So in order to get rid of that, you need a bigger fear. You need something that is bigger than your fear of sales, so that bigger fear will make the fear of sales a smaller one and one you can take action on. Okay? So what I always tell people is make your fear of being homeless greater than your fear of sales. And I hope that helps you. And if you need any tips, you can always send me an email, Roger, R-O-G-E-R, at Ygetarts.com, Ygetarts.com, strategy backwards. Have a great day.
So thanks so much to Jordan, Mike, and Roger for sharing their sales tips. If you'd like to get in touch with either Jordan, Mike, or Roger, please send me a message and I'll put you in touch with them. You can find each of them on LinkedIn, where they are extremely active, as you know I am as well. This has been the Thursday interview segment for June 7th of the Freedom Club podcast. We'll talk to you next Monday. Thank you.